Now, if it's possible for him, who's lived through some of the most traumatic experiences that you could imagine, and he's been through it for a long part of his life and at one point continually, then it's possible for you too. Why is it so important for you to find your voice, and what is the positive impact that's going to have in your life? Today, we're going to find out. I'm Ian Hawkins, and this is Sport is Life. The purpose of sport, as I see it, is to see your vision become a reality. Find your voice, create strong connections, and learn to trust your body. Why is it so important for you to find your voice? There are times where you need to be able to stand up for yourself, where there are certain people in your life that you need to draw a line in the sand and find your voice and say, no, that's not okay. No, you're not going to go past those boundaries anymore, whatever it is for you. Finding your voice allows you to find better connections. It allows you to communicate in a way where you are calm, that you are being direct, and you're being able to actually say what you mean. So you think about how many times that you've replayed a conversation back later and thought, oh, that's not quite what I meant. It's not quite what I meant. It's not what I wanted to say, or they've taken it the wrong way. And you can find your voice, that's going to change. A really big one from a relationship perspective and from a work perspective is finding your voice allows people to see your value. One of the things that I remember learning was you need to be able to sell yourself. So not in a overconfident or arrogant way, not in a way that is not going to feel authentic, but being able to talk confidently about yourself in a way that you can articulate your value, that people will see your value, and that it will feel like you're doing justice to who you are. I remember having a conversation with a new client back end of last year, and they were wondering whether it was even possible to be able to sell themselves and still not come across as being arrogant or big-noting themselves. And just reminding them that you absolutely can do that. You can be confident without trying to tell people how good you are, but being able to articulate it in a way that just sounds so strong. It's delivered with power, with authority, with certainty. That's what happens when you find your voice. Then you're able to talk about the things you do in a way that people will get, and they'll just see and they'll feel all of those things, the certainty, the authority. They'll feel that, they'll see it, and they'll see just how valuable you are in whatever situation that is. So that's the why. Relationships, being able to stand your ground when it's appropriate, being able to sell yourself. And I'm sure there's more areas where it's really important to find your voice. I thought of this particular episode in the weekly accountability group. We all get together and we talk about what we've been through the week before and what we're heading into the next week. And one of my clients was about to do a business trip, and they were going to have a really important conversation. We've been doing coaching together for well over a year now, and they'd been on this sort of trip before where they needed to speak up for themselves and hadn't gone as well previously. And they were talking about how for the first time they were able to confidently go into those conversations knowing they were going to be able to do themselves justice. And what he talked about was when he talks from his head, then he's not presenting himself in the best way. But when he literally felt like he was opening his heart to the conversation always went well. Now, that's not something specifically I'd taught him. That's something he learned himself by finding his voice, by learning to be able to confidently talk about what he does and, importantly, remain calm in those situations. And what difference would that make in your life? What positive impact would it have if you were able to do that as well? Now, if it's possible for him, who's lived through some of the most traumatic experiences that you could imagine, and he's been through it for a long part of his life and at one point continually, then it's possible for you too. You absolutely can find a way to communicate and open up in a way that all of those things I've already discussed will start to improve. And you'll be able to have those relationships and those connections at a deeper level. You'll be able to say what you really mean. You'll be able to ask for things that you want. That's a big one, particularly in your intimate relationships, particularly in family relationships. Not hoping people will know what you mean, but being able to be really clear on exactly what that is. So like I said, if it's possible for him, it's possible for you too. And I just relay to you some important things that were pivotal in his journey. And the first one of that was it, and for you to do too, is a commitment to himself. He made a commitment that he was going to go all in. I have a training program game plan where you create your life game plan. Now, more than any other person I've coached, he threw himself into that. He made a commitment to himself. That was one of the tasks of the training, actually. And he was feeling like he hadn't done enough, but he'd done more than any other person I'd coached before. And he'd seen the results of that, and it came from the commitment he made to himself. And he kept writing that commitment to himself until he was happy with it. And that actually took a little bit of time because he was so committed and so determined. He had a circuit breaker. So he introduced some circuit breakers to change the patterns that weren't helping, the patterns that kept repeating, that would force him to have setbacks, that were having him down on himself. So we bring in the circuit breaker to change that. He takes the action that needs to be taken. And importantly, helping him find the right process for him in the moment. So it's not a matter of chance, just coming back to process, not getting fearful of not getting fearful of the outcome, but coming back to the process that was going to work for him, not for anyone else, but specific for him. Because when you know what that is for yourself and you can map that across a whole lot of different areas of your life, then anything can change. So if you're ready to find your voice, start with making a commitment to yourself, bring in a circuit breaker, and remember why this is so important. Because if you know why, then that's what's going to inspire you to act when maybe there's a bit of fear or you're not sure. Good luck. Let me know how you go, as always, and I'll speak to you in the next one. You've taken the time to listen to this whole episode. Now it's time to take action. Commit to one thing you've learned today and make it happen. And to avoid any obstructions, join the Sport is Life movement by clicking on the link in the show notes.